lot has been said about the rebasing of Nigeria's economy that has seen it increase as far as full year 2024 GDP is concerned, 243 billion, 18% in nominal terms. Sterling Asset Management Trustees Limited has done an analysis of the rebasing of Nigeria's economy, and we're happy to have the head of research, Dr. Patrick Ejumedia, who's the head of research at Sterling Asset Management and Trustees Limited. Thank you so much for being with us, Doctor. It's good to have you.
Thank
Welcome
you.
Back to the show. It's been
good
a while.
To see you,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. So look, your report, I loved reading it and encourage everybody to check it out. You did look at some of the sectors, emerging sectors, and I think, pensions, digital, and so on, e-commerce, the potential for job creation for those sectors. What do you make? What kind of potential I think they have?
Yeah, so like you said, new emerging sectors bring new opportunities.
Yeah.
So if you are looking at, in terms of the traditional economy, in terms of looking at industry that creates thousands of jobs for people, then you might be saying, no, it won't create. But if you are looking at in terms of the new sector and the structure of Nigerian economy that has changed, given the structure of Nigerian youth as well, if you look at our youth now, most of the jobs that most of them want to do are sectors, are jobs that are around these places. So it's going to create a huge number of jobs. So we can't take that out. If you look at the creative industry, I think it's the second largest employer of labor after the agricultural sector. And if you look at what is happening now, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is also government of nations in Africa putting effort to ensure that it works. And by the time it starts working, a lot of logistics activities are going to take place. So that sector is going to also play a significant role. So if you are trying to look at Nigeria as old industries and all that, you might be saying, no, there is not going to create job because the industry will create that massive amount of job.
Yeah.
But if you look at the structure of the economy that has changed over time, most youths, speak to them, none of them want to go and sit in the industry. Most of them want to do jobs around these kind of places that the government has captured.
Yeah.
So I think the government has realized what the youths are looking for, and that's why these sectors are coming. And these sectors are what most of them are doing, so they're trying to capture them as part of the GDP.
Fantastic.
So that's it.
Okay, you also listed some of the benefits of rebasing, including the reduction of the debt to GDP ratio because the denominator is expanded and others. But putting up those benefits there, how would that translate to your quote-unquote common man, woman on the street in terms of the benefits of the rebasing?
So first, like we've said, the debt to GDP ratio, came up, and about 40% and all that. So what that would do, it increase our credibility and all that. So somehow, government will have that credibility to collect loans, and depending, like we've always said, how they use the loan, they use it for productive means, to put infrastructure, to put security, to put lights, energy, and all that. People will create jobs, it will drive investors, and once there's investors coming in and people are creating jobs, then the common man on the street will get job to do.
Yeah.
So that's one way. The second way is that this new sector is going to bring new opportunities for people. So for those who are able to see these opportunities in terms of investment, they are going to be creating a lot of jobs for themselves, and that is going to benefit them.
But, well, I mean, we're looking back, right? So we're rebasing and going back to prior sectors, and then, so they've been there. It's not as if it's like,
yeah,
brand new,
them,
we
but
just
they are like informal sector. They're not being captured.
Right.
So they just brought them in. And why did they bring them in? They've seen that those sectors are actually doing a lot of things in terms of their contribution, in terms of how much money they are generating. So that's why they're trying to capture them now.
You don't worry that they will remain informal in their... I mean, I know there's capturing and then there's actual actions of paying taxes and all these things.
Yes, so what we are eventually now happen, and that's why we keep saying that before now, the Nigerian economy is largely undervalued. And everybody will tell you that if you actually can capture economic activities in Nigeria the way it is, I won't be shocked that the Nigerian economy will be close to that $1 trillion that we're talking about.
Really?
I won't be shocked. But unfortunately, we cannot capture that. A lot of activities are taking place that we cannot capture. So those things make it difficult. But like I said, if the government has said these sectors are coming in, then I'm sure they would have put up modalities in terms of how they are going to be taxing these sectors and how they are going to be using it as income generation and all that, which is going to play a role in government in terms of income. I
want to ask you about services, and I'm glad you mentioned that young people don't seem to want to go into industries, but and there's we all know this. The largest part of the economy is the services sector versus industries and agriculture. I know you have a pie chart on that, but I do want to ask you about the role of energy and boosting our manufacturing sector. Okay, perfect. So there it is, right? So 57.5 for services, 19.18 for industries, and then 23.3 for agriculture. There's a tweet from what's his name? Is it Justin Hoiston? Let me pull up that tweet. I want to read it to you, and I also want you to listen to what Jensen. It's Justin Hoig. Okay. So the idea that developing countries can skip industrialization and instead develop based on services, he says, is fundamentally misguided. Except for very small countries, every country that has transformed its economy from low to high income has done so through industrialization, right? And then we played this clip at the top of the hour, but I'll just play it again for you. Just this excerpt of Jensen Huang, who is the CEO of NVIDIA. He was praising President Trump in Washington, D.C. yesterday. And here he's talking about energy. So let's take a listen.
I don't know how many years energy production was vilified, if you guys remember.
Yeah.
We can't create new industries without energy. You can't reshore manufacturing without energy. You can't sustain a brand new industry like artificial intelligence without energy. If we decide as a country the only thing we want is IP, to be an IP only, a services only country, then we don't need much energy.
So, I mean, I get where young people are going and so on, but then still, the meat and potatoes of an economy with respect to manufacturing and electricity's role in it. Well, I mean, what do you make of that?
Yeah, sincerely, I've always said that the Nigerian economy has a figurehead shape.
Yeah.
Skewed towards the agri sector and the service sector, and the industrial sector is thin at the middle, so they call it figure eight, so to say. But of course, like he has rightly said, no economy can grow. Otherwise, what you'll be doing is to buying goods that are produced by industrialized nations.
Right.
And that will be leading to inflation, because when there's inflation in those countries, you have inflation in your country. And because you're also buying, that also affects your exchange rate as well. So these are issues. So energy is key. Industrialization is also key. Even if you are talking about digital, you need energy to ensure that space also works very well. Otherwise, you just have those facilities and they're not working. Yeah. I mean, we are here now, and imagine there's no light.
Well, we can't have a show. We are running a generator, right? All right, so cool. The top 10 sectors, I do want to ask you, and you captured the increase for real estate in terms of its contribution. I think it's displaced financial services now in third place as well as its contribution to the economy. What did you make of the increase in contribution of real estate?
I don't think I'm surprised.
You're not surprised?
I'm not surprised, because we all heard about the dirty December last year.
Yeah.
And we saw how much money they said they made from that activity.
Yeah.
And the government has seen that. I'm telling you right now, people are actually planning for that in 2025.
Right.
So a lot of people there are saying they want to come. Then inflation too was there that made a lot of people to revalue their asset again.
Yeah.
So all of these made those things to happen.
Well, but when you think of when I think of real estate, right? I think of our housing deficits, and I know the administration is trying to focus on adding more homes, but when I think of the folks who benefit from real estate, it's your developers and then investors who are there. When I think of in real estate contributing to Nigeria's economy, I'm trying to think of how it trickles. I mean, okay, there's construction workers who are involved, the building of this and that. Yeah. But does it trickle down? You think real estate sector, people feel it in terms of...
Why not?
Yeah?
Why not? If you don't have a house, where do you start from?
But most people are renting.
Of course. They are renting.
Yeah.
So it pays government in terms of tax, like I've mentioned.
Yeah.
It pays the investors. Then it pays you as a buyer, depending on where you are buying. If you're not looking for...
Good point. All right, I do want... Okay, my final question for you is, when you look, your outlook for the economy, I don't know, I keep harping on jobs and electricity. What's your outlook for how you think where the economy goes from here, post-rebasing now?
Yeah, so post-rebasing, and because of these new sectors that government have brought into it, you see a lot of things. A lot of new investment is going to come on. Even in the stock market, a lot of things are going to happen.
That's our next segment.
Yeah, a lot of things are going to happen.
Stock 29.8%
you understand? Somehow this year we were scared because we're doing around 3% early this year, and we're all scared that what will happen. So that's what's happening. So with this new segment, you're probably going to be seeing a lot of new listing in the stock exchange, because most of these people will come in. So a lot of new advisory kind of job will come in, because they will need people to advise them.
So that's financial services.
So a lot of things will also come up too. So we expect that growth to continue.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Dr. Patrick Ejumedia, Head of Research, Sterling Asset Management Trustees Limited. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good to see you all.